China will surpass US to be world's largest economy. It's time for us to shift gears. Even the most casual visitor to China cannot help but see a nation leaping into the future. Thousands of new buildings, roads, and bridges, dozens of new airports, and several maglev high-speed trains, all of it reflects strategic infrastructure investment. A few years ago, the nation produced copycat technology products, but now it is producing unique, innovative products that its urban population purchases via smartphones. The Communist Party governing structure means that strategic decision-making can be followed by quick execution. The 26.4-mile Qingdao-Haiwan Bridge, the longest in the world, was built in just 4 years. President Xi has further strengthened the national government by consolidating power, reducing corruption, and investing strategically in education, infrastructure, and relationships with developing countries. Chinese universities produce millions of STEM graduates, and President Xi has targeted artificial intelligence and self-driving vehicles for major investment. China protects and nurtures its homegrown companies and puts up roadblocks to foreign competitors such as Amazon, Apple, Facebook, Google, and Twitter. Now, JD.com is called the Amazon of China, with fleets of drones delivering products. Apple makes products in China, but is slowly being eclipsed by other brands, like Huawei. WeChat, the Facebook and Twitter of China, is bolstered by the government, but also censored. Similarly, Baidu's monopoly as the #1 Chinese search engine is due to the government. No one debates whether China will surpass the US to be the world's largest economy. The only question is when it will happen. China's ascent is factual. The nation's systems stem from its priorities, the biggest one being the harmony of the group rather than the rights of the individual. We cherish our individual rights, our freedom of expression, our privacy and choice in voting, religion, and spouse. We also, unlike China, value clean air and water. And while we claim to believe in free markets and entrepreneurship, China invests in and protects companies in strategic areas. Our strategy worked in the 1900s, while China was a poor, isolationist, agrarian giant. But China has changed, becoming the world's manufacturer over the course of the 20th century. Currently, it is making another shift to become a first-world, can-do innovation economy. It has moved from isolationism to expanding its global influence. And its defensive military is taking over and expanding man-made islands in the South China Sea to develop offensive capabilities. We have changed as well. Instead of leading by principle and soft power, we've embraced isolationism. We have unilaterally imposed tariffs on our trading partners. We are booting out the immigrants who get our STEM degrees, while our defense industry starves for new hires to ensure our military technology lead. Our regulators increasingly question successful tech companies, and our presidents barely murmur a complaint when other nations create new taxes and absurd legal arguments to confiscate these companies' earnings overseas. Our politicians continue to put their party's interests above those of the nation. Senate Democrats have insisted on roll call votes to delay qualified administration nominees 119 times under President Trump, a procedure used by both parties a total of 140 times during the 4 prior presidents' first terms. Our Supreme Court nominees used to get near unanimous votes based on legal competence, but now senators on both sides of the aisle withhold their approval out of partisan prejudice alone. Only one group, no labels, stands out from the crowd in this respect. It has gathered bipartisan problem solvers interested in finding workable solutions to our nation's biggest problems. Our government stopped investing in infrastructure, but continued to promiscuously give students huge loans to study anything, whether it is likely to boost their employment opportunities or not. And though our economy is surging, we're also seeing widening deficits, with a projected $1 trillion deficit in 2019, debts that the next generation of Americans will have to pay. Our focus on Trump's past mistakes and Russia has overwhelmed public discourse. We knew Trump had issues when he was campaigning, and he still won. Move on. I give President Trump credit for trying to move the nation forward from the media frenzy about Russia to worry about the biggest issues, including the threat China poses to our global leadership. He is wrong to use tariffs, as almost all economists recognize, but he is right to focus on China. With Ivanka Trump's help, he is pushing every major company and industry to invest in training current and future workers with high-demand skills, promoting technical education with the reauthorization of the Perkins Act, and advocating for a merit-based immigration approach that will help us attract and retain the best talent, something the media continues to ignore. In short, we are chasing butterflies, while China is investing in its future. We have switched roles, accepting passivity and dysfunction, while China speeds to surpass us. Our democracy has always been messy, but we have succeeded because we shared fundamental values of freedom, justice, and equality. Yet our divisive paralysis is threatening our nation and our democracy. The way we succeed is to put nation above party, values above vengeance, and strive to live up to our ideals as a nation of liberty and opportunity for all. If we don't shift gears and face the problems that lay ahead, I am not sure our children will forgive us. China is still 10 to 20 years from matching U.S. economy and 20 to 40 years from matching U.S. military. China is transitioning from equipment that was decades out of date to small numbers of competitive military equipment. As has been shown in the recent trade conflicts, China's economy is still weaker than the USA. The U.S. still has a larger economy other than on purchasing power parity. China's economy is more dependent on trade and is dependent on vital computer and other technology from the USA. China has greater foreign oil dependency than the USA. It would likely take until 2030 until China has moved to reasonably modern military equipment for all of its equipment. China is spending about one-third as much as the USA on defense. China spends less on a percentage basis as well. Even if China's nominal GDP matches the US around 2030, China will still need longer to match the US military. It is not just 1 year's military spending, but the accumulated buildup of equipment and training of armed forces. China also spends less on a percentage basis, so China's economy would need to be 1.5 to 2 times larger in order to match the US military budget. The collective EU economy matched or exceeded the USA for a while, but the EU had far less combined military. China might be slightly more than the combined EU military some 10 years after matching the US GDP. China even targets full science and technology leader in 2050. China is building up regional advantages where it could win conflicts over Taiwan or the South China Sea. This because of the man-made island bases and because of the ability to project power close to China. It is also because those two areas are where China has far more interest than the USA. The USA would not put up the all-out or that what would be needed to win. China's ICBM missiles are hidden in underground tunnel systems. China's nuclear missiles are not prepped for launch. China recognizes how vulnerable their small number of land-based missiles are. The missiles are in underground facilities so that they can survive a first attack. The overall number of Chinese ICBM launchers reported by DoD has remained stable since 2011, 50 to 75. One type has reload capability, so the number of available missiles is a little higher, 75 to 100 missiles. That number has also remained stable for the past 3 years. Indeed, other than the arrival of the DF-26 IRBM force, the total Chinese rocket force's estimate is identical to that presented in the 2017 report. China intends to use the Belt and Road Initiative (BRI) to develop strong economic ties with other countries, shape their interests to align with China's, and deter confrontation or criticism of China's approach to sensitive issues. Some countries participating in BRI could develop economic dependencies from over-relying on Chinese capital. Some BRI investments could advance potential military advantages for China. The plan is the region's largest navy, with more than 300 surface combatants, submarines, amphibious ships, patrol craft, and specialized types. It is also an increasingly modern and flexible force. One of the most significant planned structural changes in 2017 was the expansion of the planned Marine Corps. The PLANMC previously consisted of 2 brigades, approximately 10,000 personnel, and was limited in geography and mission, amphibious assault and defense of South China Sea outposts. By 2020, the PLANMC will consist of 7 brigades, may have more than 30,000 personnel, and will expand its mission to include expeditionary operations on foreign soil, as PLANMC forces are already operating out of the Plas base in Djibouti. Modernization of China's submarine force remains a high priority for the plan. It currently operates 4 nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines, SSBN, 5 nuclear-powered attack submarines, and 47 diesel-powered attack submarines. By 2020, this force will likely grow to between 69 and 78 submarines. The PLAAF is the largest air force in the region, and the 3rd largest in the world. It is working to become a strategic air force capable of long-range power projection. The PLAAF is the largest air force in the region, and the 3rd largest in the world, with more than 2,700 total aircraft, not including UAVs, and 2,000 combat aircraft, including fighters, strategic bombers, tactical bombers, and multi-mission tactical and attack aircraft. The PLAAF continues to field 4th-generation aircraft, now about 600, and probably will become a majority 4th-generation force within the next several years. The PLAAF is still developing 5th-generation fighters, including the J-20 and FC-31, and in late 2016 began importing 24 Su-35 advanced 4th-generation fighters from Russia. China announced a stealth bomber program in 2016, and the new platform could debut sometime around 2025. The ultimate goal of science and technology modernization is to rejuvenate China by 2050. As an S&T powerhouse. For the next 30 years, China's leaders have arranged its innovation-driven development strategy into the following 4 major milestones. 2020, Advanced domestic competence for global innovation competition. The ability to rank side by side with other innovation-driven countries remains a top priority under Xi Jinping. These development goals center on upgrading the industrial economy, including modern agriculture, clean and efficient energy, and 5th-generation mobile telecommunications networks, building science innovation parks, and attracting top-tier researchers. China intends these projects to further advance China's global ranking, and to strengthen defense technology development between the military and civilian sectors. 2025, Reduce reliance on foreign technology. In October 2015, China's State Council published the Made in China 2025 plan, outlining development trajectories to establish and promote China-made components, create well-known Chinese brands, and increase the domestic and international market share in 10 strategic industries. The plan aims to develop internationally competitive leading enterprises, improve technical, equipment, and quality standards to international levels, and create a long-term industrial supply chain and perfect mass production. To achieve core technology breakthroughs, the plan incentivizes accumulating patents, increasing Chinese intellectual property, and establishing engineering platforms and collaborative innovation centers for S&T. The 10 strategic industries are: 1. New generation information technology, 2. High-grade machine tooling and robotics, 3. Aerospace equipment, 4. Marine engineering equipment, 5. Advanced rail transportation equipment, 6. New energy automobiles, 7. Electric power equipment, 8. Agricultural equipment, 9. New materials, and 10. Biomedicine. 2030, make milestone contributions to the global scientific community. Striving to take the lead on breakthroughs in important S&T areas, China's 13th five-year program outlines major S&T innovation projects for 2030 to benefit both the Chinese economy and its military. Projects include IE 2.0, national cyberspace security, aircraft engines and combustion turbines, quantum computing and quantum communication, advanced manufacturing, clean and efficient energy production, green technologies and environmental solutions, agriculture advances, biology and health, resource management, in both space and ocean, and deep earth exploration. China's IE 2.0 project moves beyond its focus with IE 1.0, which centered solely on discovering AI, to focus on the networking and intelligentization of the entire industry chain. In July 2017, China published a national IE blueprint that lays out its R&D trajectory to achieve major breakthroughs in the IE field and become the world's primary IE innovation center by 2030. 2050, lead and dominate as the S&T powerhouse. China's long-term objective remains to become the global leader in innovative scientific development